Aleya Dao is a sound healer, energetic practitioner, minister in the state of California, doctor of Oriental medicine in New Mexico, and a licensed acupuncture in Colorado. She has been an alternative healer for 20 years. Aleya graduated from Lewis and Clark University in Portland, Oregon, and earned her master's degree in Oriental medicine from the Southwest Acupuncture School in Santa Fe, New Mexico. She presently lives in Santa Barbara, California, where she serves an international clientele as a spiritual guide and sound healer. So for more information about Aleya, you can please visit her website at aleyadao.com, but that's on the guest page as well. So hello, Aleya.
Hello.
Hi, there you are. How are you?
I'm great, and it's great to be here with you tonight.
I'm really happy, real excited about this show and what you can share with us. Well, as a matter of fact, could you tell us about your journey to beginning, in the beginning to a sound healer and energetic practitioner and spiritual guide?
Happily, my journey actually began at a fairly young age of being very empathic, very energetically sensitive. And I was really fascinated with the whole modality of healing, even as a child at the age of 6. And then in my adolescence, my mom exposed me to massage schools and alternative ways of thinking. And then when I went to boarding school, I was just kind of the natural counselor that people would gravitate towards and look for soothing and comfort, even though I didn't have any formal training. And then I ended up going to Lewis and Clark in Portland, Oregon, and kept driving by this massage school. And I thought, what am I going to do when I get out of college before I can get my teaching credentials? I don't want to wait tables. I can't remember anything. And so I thought, I'll go to massage school. I'll become a massage therapist. And so my junior year in college, I went on and got my massage degree while I was attending college as well. So basically double majoring, 2 schools at the same time. And then my senior year, I started my own private practice as a massage therapist at the age of 21. And then after a year of having my own private practice, I realized that I wanted to go deeper. And so I went on and got my Oriental medicine degree, Master's of Oriental Medicine at the Southwest Acupuncture School, and opened up my private practice after I graduated from there in Telluride, Colorado. And then in 2001, I had an enlightenment experience. And it was literally like all of these moments that I had been training for led to this huge shift in my consciousness where literally in 35 seconds, my entire reality was different. It was like having x-ray glasses and being able to feel people's feelings and hear guides and perceive other realms. And again, there had been a lot of study leading up to that moment, but that shift in my consciousness took about 3 to 5 years to integrate. And now I have assimilated it and speak about these concepts that affect our life and how we can use the higher realms, our energetic self, to shift our reality. So that's kind of a little snippet of my journey.
Wow, I love it. I mean, so young too, and you kind of everything just it's interesting. Everything just went as it should for you.
As it should. Not always easy, right? Lots of tears,
right.
Because when you're super sensitive, you feel everything and you don't know that it's not yours or whose it is and what's really being asked for. And so now at the age of 42, almost 43, I've got my feet pretty firmly on the ground. And
I know, someday I will, and I'm even older than that. I still have a problem bouncing off that stuff. But,
and as soon as I say that one, I get upended, right? That's how it usually goes.
Well, so what is sound healing so our listeners can understand, what is sound healing?
Sound healing is literally just using your voice or sound or music to shift your vibration. It can be positive, it can be negative, it can be lower, it can be higher. And I first started having dreams of whales and dolphins coming to me in dream time, literally doing sound healing on me. And then after about 1.5 2 years of dreaming about the whales and the dolphins, I had a dream and the whales said to me, "Aleya, move." I was living in Telluride at the time. So I woke up in the morning and I went, move where? And I heard west. And so 3 weeks later, I got in my car and I drove west, and it basically took me 1.5 years to find my new home in Santa Barbara. And when I did get to Santa Barbara, I would have dreams of the dolphins coming to me in my dreams and saying, "Aleya, meet us at Butterfly Beach at 8 in the morning with your kayak." So at 8 a.m., I'd be at Butterfly Beach and the dolphins would appear and we would begin telepathically communicating and showing me how to use my voice, sound, toning to shift my own energy, to spin it around chakras, bounce it off vertebra, and affect a change for myself and then eventually for others. And so sound healing, I think everybody is a sound healer. When we use our voice, we are affecting ourselves vibrationally with the sound of our words. When we use music, we're affecting ourselves. When teenagers are listening to that super hardcore, heavy metal, angry music, what they're really trying to do is get their power back so that they have the capacity to stand on their own 2 feet when they move into adulthood. And so everyone uses sound, whether they're conscious of it or not, to shift the way that they feel. And sometimes it's positive and sometimes it's negative.
I like how you said about the teenagers using some of the harder stuff. You said in a really positive way. I like that.
Yeah, they're getting their power back. And, you know, when you're young, it's your parents' responsibility to protect you and support you and love you. And we really disempower children a lot in our culture, and we don't give them responsibility for meeting their own energetic needs. We also don't typically teach them how to soothe themselves, meet their needs internally. And so when they hit the age of 12, which is when they're ideally supposed to stand in their own spiritual alignment and start retrieving all of those responsibilities at an energetic level. That doesn't mean you don't still make them sandwiches and love them and tuck them into bed and make sure that they will look both ways when they walk across the street. I'm talking about energetic tasks and needs that we all need to figure out how to meet inside ourselves, and most people don't. And so as a teenager, the angrier they are, the more they're wanting to get that responsibility back for themselves.
Oh, I like that. I like how you put that. In fact, well, you know, we all of us, our energy is energy. Our whole bodies are made of energies. So how can? Oh, first of all, I would like to say I live in California too, and the dolphins that you're bringing. I know the area you're talking about. I meet you at the beach, and I get a lot from the dolphins. Not in my dream, but I walk over to the beach where I live, and I live in San Diego, and it's so healing. And I just have a connection with them too. Like no one maybe believes it, I don't care, but it's lovely. And that's really amazing. And the whales and dolphins, you said.
Yeah, they are the master sound healers on the planet. I really think they hold the highest.
You know, and they're like humans in water, I used to think about.
More evolved humans.
Much more. Well, could you tell us about, I did check, you know, everybody check out her website, and after this interview I will tell you exactly again where that is, and also on her guest page is listed. But I did check out about this. So could you tell us about the daily meditations and why you are doing them?
Yeah, in 2007, my husband asked me how I could help more than the handful of people that were in my private practice, because what essentially happens after I'm in a location for 3 to 4 years, I start getting booked out. It's 3 weeks, 3 months, and it's like 3 years. And so I thought, how can I help more people than just my small clientele? There are only so many hours in the day. And so he asked me that question in 2007, and I contemplated it for 2 years of how can I share my gifts, my information with a larger audience. And I was driving actually down to San Diego, coming back from San Diego after a weekend with my husband, and my guide said to me, daily meditations. And I was like, what? I'm supposed to meditate more? And they're like, no, record daily meditations. And so now what I do is I tune into the energetic weather that's coming onto the planet. Every single day we have physical weather. It's either sunny, rainy, hot, cold. Well, we also have these energetic streams and light frequency coming onto the planet that can actually help us in our growth and evolution. And so I record 5-10-minute meditations that can help you tune into the energetic weather, use your energy fields, your higher self to help you in your growth and evolution. And so often we try to use our mind to shift our issues, our mind to shift our behaviors, our attitudes, and our consciousness. And my angle is actually using your higher self and your energy fields to shift your consciousness. It's not something that you actually even think about. You get your higher self to hold that vibration, your higher self does the work and then reflects it down to you here in the physical realm. So those meditations are specifically designed for your higher self, for your energy fields, gets your higher self and energy fields much stronger so that you can start using this multidimensional resource.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. So anybody that goes onto your website can listen to these, and also on YouTube, I think I saw them.
Yeah. YouTube has a couple samples,
Right.
but people could go to cupsofconsciousness.com to get a
Hmm.
free week of the daily Cups of Consciousness. And it's kind of like an intro week. And it doesn't really speak about the energetic weather, but if you like that daily intro, then you can subscribe for very minimal amount.
Right. Yeah. So your website's very, I really like it because it's very well. It's interactive. You can listen to it. It's lovely. I love it.
Thank
Just
you.
saying.
Thank you.
uh, uh, Aleya, how do people shift their lives towards happiness or health and abundance?
I
Your
think the
view.
first thing to do is to identify one aspect, one vibration that you are really wanting to experience internally or externally. And a lot of the times we will use the outer world to reference point what we're really wanting internally. If I have a beloved partner, then I'll be happy. If I have enough money, then I'll be safe and supported and protected. If my family respects me, then I will be validated. So we can use the outer, but we don't want to stop there. So if you were to have what you want in your outer world, how would you then feel? You get that, meaning happy, safe, supported, protected, respected, whatever it is. You think about that vibration, that emotion, that level of consciousness that you would have if you were to create that externally. And then you keep taking it full circle and you invite your higher self to work with your energetic fields, the guides, to activate that vibration of what you want at the level of your higher self and in your divine line. And then you sit, you wait like a bump on a log, and you let your higher self do that work up high. That could be a request that you make every single day for 3 days, 5 days, 3 weeks, until your higher self reaches a vibrational frequency, tipping point, reflection point, and you start to literally feel those vibrations, that consciousness, that energy ebbing in from the higher realms to you here in the physical realm. I really think of the physical dimension as just the reflection. And so if we're shifting our consciousness, we want to do all of the heavy lifting and work at the level of the higher self, make our higher selves work, reflect it down. So that's the kind of basic formula for shifting your reality. But there's 3 components. I think of it as the sacred trinity. In the biblical terms, they call it the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And when I looked closer at those 3 terms, I actually identified that that's the higher self, the body Davis higher self. It's the energetic aspect of the physical human form. And then your team. Your team are beings that encircle you in another dimension. So by getting you, your body, and your team to all hold that vibration of what you're intending, that creates this coherent field of transformation that then reflects into the physical dimension. And then you start having a different reality, holding a different vibration inside yourself, which then creates a different magnetic pull to you in the physical reality.
Wow. Yeah, are you talking about a team as in like people call it their guides or?
Yeah, your guides can act as your team can act as guides, but I think of the team as beings that launched with you on day one. Like, let's
Got
go
it.
down to Earth and have a big adventure. And you're all on the same track. You have similar agendas. You might have different resources that you can pull from, but you literally act as a group. And your team can buffer you. They can model right energy to you. And I have a little story about my team. A couple of years ago, after I met my husband, I was taking flight lessons and becoming a pilot for a little plane. And I wasn't doing so well. I was born with the dyslexia, which I think is the gift to perceive higher dimensions effortlessly, easily. But the dyslexia was not a great asset while flying a plane. And so in my flight training, I would be constantly mixing things up and not being able to remember aspects of flying. And my instructor was slightly terrified pretty much daily. And it was a lesson, I think it was like Thursday evening, and it wasn't a very good lesson. And I went home pretty disheartened. And I said, team, you guys got to help me. I need all of you in Dreamtime to go and master flight, whatever it takes, however long it takes, and come back tomorrow morning with mastery of flight of a little plane. So they went off into their dimensions and they all became master pilots, and they came back the next morning, and I drove off to the airport, jumped in the plane with my instructor, and completely transformed my entire ability to fly because I was being positively empathically impacted by my team that were encircling me and knowing exactly what to do. And she turned to me and she's like, "Oh my God, what happened to you? I guess integration." And I was like, "Yeah, not some, and some more angles," which I didn't share with her. But we can really use our team to help us, support us, buffer us, and inspire us in our journey.
Well, that's a great story. Thank you for sharing that with us. I love that. Well, you know what? I have so much more I want to just integrate. I mean, I know I have some questions here that we could, but we have a lot more time. I wanted to ask you about is there a difference between, the sound, like crystal bowl sounds, or listening to that? Is it the same, what we're talking about with what you're...
I mean, all sound has the ability to shift the vibration of our energy fields, our cells, organs, bones, tissue, the water element in our body. So I really think that there isn't one modality that's better than another, that crystal bowls are better than tuning forks or better than the human voice or better than drums. I think it really depends on what we feel called to. And I remember a few years ago, all I wanted to hear were crystal bowls. Now it might be all I want to hear are whales singing or a flute playing. And so we want to use our desire as the indicator of what kind of modality of sound is most appropriate for us, because it does carry a very particular vibration and consciousness. Drums are going to carry a different consciousness than a crystal bowl, and different types of drums will carry a different consciousness. So it's really about using the desire as the indicator of what's the frequency, the vibration that I need now.
So it could be individual or it could be a journey
individual
for some people.
And changes.
Right.
And changes. So
well,
some people
sound sound has been used as a healing force for thousands of years. I mean, like a lot of ancient civilizations use sound healing, and even traditional cultures are still surviving. They're still, their understanding is much more, much more better. Is that true?
I think that we try to get very scientific on the effects of sound in our culture, but I know that monks, right, they chant, and there's a story about these monks, and they were chanting, and then the chanting people didn't think it was important, so they stopped chanting, and all the monks started getting sick. And they started chanting again, and they stopped getting sick. So intuitively, physically, emotionally, spiritually, we know the power behind it.
And, also about when they were, when they were doing sound in water,
mm-hmm.
I think that's fascinating. You're more well-versed in this. Do you know what I'm talking about? They did water and the different...
Emoto's work.
Yeah.
Right? And then, he did a bunch of research where you basically place water in a glass or in a petri dish, and then you pray directly over that water, or you speak to the water a particular word or sound, and then that actually creates a fractal image, sacred geometric shapes within the water representing the vibration of that word. And that's called Emoto's work.
Right.
Messages in Water, I think, was one of the books he wrote.
That was amazing.
Yeah. And there was a movie too, I think, about it.
Oh, there was. That's amazing, because that's almost like right in front of us.
I know, it's very obvious. And we think about the words we use too, right? That impacts our body.
Exactly, it's our tone. Don't you take that tone with me.
Right, right.
No, but that's right. The person you said, I was looking at those, and it's amazing. Or you could put more love into... And how beautiful! I mean, just wow! But that's scientific to me. I don't know about
it is. That's very scientific. And a couple of years ago, my husband and I went to Napa, and I started toning wine. bad wine turned it into good wine. And so we can change the vibration of that which we ingest.
I like that. So you could have a really not so good Chardonnay, make it into a high end.
Exactly. I called myself the wine whisperer for a moment.
Well,
there.
that's a pretty cool thing to do. So this is a lot different than anything about deliberate attraction and manifesting. We're talking about something that's actually part of ourselves, which we are. Sound is. I mean, we when we're born, we're making sound.
We are, and we're always making a sound. Our cells are always making sounds.
So how could you help people that would say that they may not be self-aware or be more mindful of some of the negative ways of not, or be more, mindful of not, just sometimes it comes naturally for some people because they're down or whatever.
Or they've had a traumatic incident that's happened.
Yes.
In a post-traumatic loop. Mm-hmm. There is, I don't know if this will resonate with your audience, but there's a technique that I use, and I think of, we all have a divine line. It's a river of light that flows within us. I call it the soul divine line. And then our body, physical human form, body, deva, nature, spirit, the horse you're riding on or in, has a divine line that actually runs through the spine. And we can invite our higher self and our body, Deva's higher self, to activate the vibration of the sound of our essence and the sound of our body, Deva's essence, in our divine lines. So literally, this tube of light flowing on the front of the spine starts to emanate with the sound of your essence. Your body, Deva, also has its very own unique sound of its essence that holds complete health, vitality, balance, connection. And we want the body, Deva, nature, spirit, to start activating the sound of its essence. And we want our energy self, our energy fields, to start listening to our essence and our body, Deva's essence, and our team's essence over mass consciousness, over the fear, the news, the worry. And so you're basically just turning and changing the radio station you are monitoring to a sound that is pure and beautiful and exquisite and specifically designed for you, that you've spent lifetimes cultivating this exquisite sound. And all we have to do is begin to energetically, with our imagination, with our breath, our intent, listening to that beautiful, exquisite inner sound. And then you'll literally start to vibrate with this higher frequency sound that is more in alignment with your true consciousness, as opposed to the issues of ancestors, culture, humanity, trauma, pain, drama.
Yeah. I heard some YouTube, your voice is beautiful. I listened to, can you tell everybody about you sing? I mean, your angelic singing is lovely. It is. Can you tell, did you fall in, did you sing before, or is this something that came together with this, sound, healing?
A little bit. When I was in boarding school, I was part of a band called the Yellow Submarine, and we sang great dead tunes. And so I can't really say I was a sound healer, but I definitely loved voice, and I did sing in a play once or twice. I didn't ever have any formal training until I got to college. And my senior year in college, I was part of a band, and I wanted to get a little better. And so literally my last term, I took a voice lesson from one of the college professors at the music department. And in my first lesson with him, after the lesson, he looked at me and he started to cry. I said, what's the matter? And he goes, why didn't you major in music? And I said, I'm sorry, I didn't think my voice was that great. And he's like, oh my God. And so that was kind of the very first really positive, strong push into voice. And then I kind of let it go, forgot about it, and picked it up again after that enlightenment experience, when I literally started hearing the angelic choir singing to me all day long, all night long. A little hard to get sleep, but they were singing, and then they started telling me to mimic them. And I would do that in the shower, in the closet, in my car, where no one else could hear. And then they said, Aleya, one day you will sing in front of other people. And I was like, you have got to be kidding. There is no way I'm going to do that. And then a few years later, I had a client on my table, and I heard my guides say, make the sound. And so I turned to him and I said, okay, this is a little out there, but I don't know what to do for your shoulder. We've done the massage, we've done acupuncture, I've done a little bit of energy work. Nothing's changing it, nothing's making it better. Can I use a different modality and see if it makes it better? And he goes, yeah, sure. So I started making this sound that was less than pleasant because it was the sound literally of the pain and the congestion coming from his shoulder. And then the sound started to change and it became coherent and absolutely beautiful. And it was this very exquisite tone. And after about 2 minutes of me making these sounds, I said, okay, now check your shoulder. And with total surprise on both our parts, he lifted his shoulder up and he's like, oh my God, it's totally better. And so that was kind of the first moment of me stepping out of the closet. And since then, I guess now 10 years later, 12 years later, I have 5 commercially produced sound healing albums, CDs, and I'm working on 6 albums simultaneously right now, and they'll be done probably in May of 2015. So,
congratulations. Well, like I said, I heard, I was just checking you out like I do before I wanted to do this. And I thought, well, you're the best guest I could bring on for sound healing. And anybody listening should just go to YouTube and put your name in. And it was lovely. I heard you,
great.
I guess, singing. Would I call it singing? Yeah, singing.
Kind of singing. It's, I can get just a teeny little sample if you want for people. I'll do a kind of a lower tone. And it'll
oh, yeah, that'd be great. Could you?
Kind of grounding.
Fantastic. I love that.
It's simple, but usually on radio, higher tones don't transmit that well. It kind of crackles. So
that's okay, but it gives us an idea. I mean, of what.
And so that's toning, and then I will use a little bit of light language. It's the language I use when I communicate with the angelic realm. And all of the music is conscious music. I am literally hearing the angelic choir singing, and then I am repeating what they are singing in the higher realms. And sometimes there's sort of this choir that happens, physical and higher, and it's all designed to help people access higher states of consciousness.
That's beautiful. We're going to take a short commercial break from our sponsor, and we'll be right back with Aleya Dao in just a moment. So hold on, please.
A new era in psychic services has begun. PsychicAccess.com. You can connect with our psychic advisors by telephone or chat 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All of our psychic advisors are interviewed, fully verified, and accuracy tested, assuring you quality service. We're living in some very troubled times right now. More and more, the world's problems are affecting us on a personal level. You don't have to deal with this alone. Our highly accurate psychics, caring advisors, and talented mediums can help with situations you are currently experiencing and can let you know what the future may hold for you. All new customers get a free 6-minute reading. All you have to do is register. Why not visit us now and get a free reading at PsychicAccess.com.
Okay, we're back with Aleya Dao, and we're speaking about the power of sound healing. And Stephen, my co-host, would like to ask something. Yes, Stephen?
Yes, thank you very much, Maureen. I can't miss this opportunity to ask you. It's a question I've had for a very long time. I'm a musician, and I'm one of those snooty musicians that likes classical music. And I've always thought that classical music endows one with a higher consciousness, and I can't help but comparing it to rather more coarse and perhaps dissonant types of music that seems more widely popular. And it seems to me as if the popular music is becoming even more coarse, even more discordant as time goes on. My father condemned Motley Crue. His father condemned Elvis Presley and Chuck Berry, both very benign and innocuous compared to some of what's out there now. I'm curious, am I a paranoiac, or should I be worried about the types of consciousness that merchants are attaching a value to and disseminating among the young and the old as well? Should I worry or not about that?
Well, I wouldn't recommend worrying, because that actually lowers your vibration. But we could look at it from the perspective of the music is helping us maybe break down old patterns that are no longer working. And so we are in a bit of a consciousness revolution, evolution. And I think that there is an intolerance that's building for unsustainable ways of being on the planet. And so the music might be, I'm crossing my fingers, a temporary bulldozer, demolishing unit that is helping us break it down, shift it, change it, and bring it into a more coherent field. And I actually think within 10 to 20 years, we're going to have kind of another Beatles revolution where we get this huge shift. And maybe your work, my work, is part of that beginning wave of energy conscious music that people can really connect with deeply. And if we look at the discordant music that is out there and is popular right now, it's the demolishing unit that's come in that we've hired.
Well, I have a person in the chat room named May. She has a very good question. I was hoping I could run it by you very quickly, Aleya.
Sure.
She wants to know if you have any tips for helpers, those who are in a position to help society, teachers, parents, grandparents, those who work with children. How can they use sound healing and sound to do the most good?
I'm going to answer that question, and it's going to be kind of across the board, not just using sound, but using our behavior, our consciousness, our thoughts, our words, and our actions. And I was actually in meditation about a year ago and was sitting and got this very profound message that whenever we are attached, desiring, or responsible for another person's reality, we actually drop our energy fields of coherence and transformation from 100% coherent to 0. So if I want to assist another person in my life, I would think about what I want for them. What's the energy, the consciousness, the behavior that I want them to be in? I would use that. Then I'm going to keep bringing it full circle, and I would lift all of my attachment, my desire for that reality for them, off of them and back to me. Then I'm going to hold full responsibility for me being in that vibration, modeling it to them, holding a safe and loving space for whatever they need to be in, but modeling the solution, again, not attached, desiring, or responsible for their energetic reality, their physical reality, depends on the age of the individual. And that way we are modeling the solution. We're not disempowering them. We're seeing them from a place of courage, determination to grow and evolve, and at least we're holding the solution. And I actually have a YouTube on how to pray and help other people that people could check out that gives you those very specific steps.
Yes, that's also, I love the liturgical music, for example, in the synagogue and the Catholic Church and the mosques, and I've always been curious about how religious music has affected religious behavior, that link between spirituality and music.
In a lovely, controlling way.
Well, thanks, Maureen. I'm all tapped out with the questions.
Thank you.
She definitely answered it to the core. Thank you, Aleya. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm glad someone else. Aleya, what is your? This is everything's my favorite with you talking about, but because of the dolphins. But what is your affinity with the whale? I know you talked a little bit about it, but with the whales and the dolphins, and can you tell us more in depth about that?
I think whales are kind of more in the, I think dolphins and whales, they're both cetaceans. And if you actually read about them, they actually say that dolphins are whales. And so there's not really much of a difference. But when I feel into the consciousness of the whale, they're not as playful as the dolphins. The dolphins, they have sex like 60 times a day, and they're all spinning and jumping, and there is this sort of elated vibration when you hang out with them. It's definitely all about play. Whereas the whales have kind of a deeper core mission on the planet, and they are infusing very high frequencies with their sound into the waters that then affects the waters in our own body and on the planet and all the water that we ingest. And so they have a bigger job on some level because their tone can penetrate to a much deeper core. And I really think of them as sort of the ascended masters, the PhDs, professors on the planet. And if I were to create a religion, which I never will, at least not in this incarnation, I would call it whaleism. And we would really honor the incredible wisdom that these wise ones do carry.
I agree. Absolutely. No, nor would I want to create a religion or conform. Well, I'm not putting down religions, everybody.
Well, it
Just
serves a
saying.
purpose for a time.
It does. But, I just can relate so much because I just with me and the dolphins, and I had a show. I did a show many years ago here on dolphin women, and we spoke about dolphins. And she brought up something very interesting about how because I live in San Diego, there's Sea World. Well, I'll never go there again. In fact, I never had gone there. Never took my daughter when she's little. I know now why, because that's just awful what they do with cat. Having they shouldn't be there, the whales and dolphins. But I started thinking because I grew up on the water. The first time I ever experienced dolphins was when I was in Catalina. My dad had a sailboat, and they just came up, and that was part of how I grew up. They just came up and started hanging out with us. That was it, and I always felt just so a kinship to them. And so, like I shouldn't be saying that, but when I'm feeling down, or just when I want some peace, I walk over. Like I said, I walk to the beach, and there they are. And sometimes they're closer to the shore. It was like last year, recently, it's kind of like I feel such a connection with them. Yeah. And it's maybe, the sound or them, they are the PhD. I love how you say they are the PhD masters. They are.
Yeah. Yeah. And they hold such a beautiful vibration, and they do create a strong, coherent field of transformation. They're not attached to changing you or making you happy, right? They're holding all of their gifts, their wisdom, their mastery, their vibrations fully on themselves. And then what happens just by being around them, 100 feet from them, 500 feet from them, even a mile from them, your energy fields are being positively, empathically impacted. And I personally think that if we are 100% attached to our own internal reality and we're holding these high vibrations on ourselves, we have the capacity to affect 100,000 people or more simply just by being. We don't have to go do anything. We can be doing things in the higher realms, sending information, modeling right energy. But that's one way that we can serve that is effortless and easy in an instant.
And so we could collectively, it's like Carl Jung, collectively, the collective unconscious collectively bringing everything together if we just would be still.
Just attached to our own internal reality. I mean, think about how we navigate in our life and, oh, I want them to be happy. Oh, I want them to like me. Oh, I want them to be more respectful. Oh, I want those people in the Middle East to stop fighting. Well, we're putting all of our energy and our desires externally. That immediately drops our energy fields of coherence, again, from 100 to 0. And then it moves us into high levels of empathic sensitivity. Because we put our attachment, our desire out. Now we're responsible for changing them. Now we put our gifts on them for changing them. And then we're left empty, feeling their pain and not using our own tools on ourselves and modeling the solution. So
that's so exactly right.
Yeah. So I really think that the more we shift and are responsible for loving our own light, modeling energy, being only responsible for our own behavior, no one else's. I mean, we're all control freaks, right? Let's control ourselves in our own divine mind. Let's hold our control appropriately in the realm where it can be most efficient at the level of the higher self, in your core. Stay connected to your essence. Control that. And then the desire to control external goes away, and then we again increase our coherence, and then we start changing the world in a really positive, beautiful way that doesn't require the missionary or the martyr stance.
Oh, so eloquently stated. Absolutely. Boy, that was really great. Everybody hear that? Okay.
It took a long time to figure that one out.
But that's how the journey works. But like you said, because being empath, picking up on all that stuff and not being grounded. So this is a really great thing for everybody, but also for people that work in the work I do.
Definitely. And I think the more sensitive we are, the more empathic we'll be, and the more we have the capacity to really model a beautiful vibration. And, some of my clients complain a little bit to me, I'm so empathic. And anytime we're empathic, and I don't mean complain in a bad way, I have complained many times of how empathic I am, but figuring out this formula, this solution of how to deal with it, the more evolved we get, the more empathic we will become. Because every single time we feel another person, that means we actually have energetic information for them. They're coming over and to us and energetically seeing that we have a solution. And they're not asking us to fix their stuff for them. They're asking us to model the solution. And as soon as we start modeling the solution, sending them the appropriate energetic information from our higher self to theirs, the empathic sensitivity goes away. And it also builds compassion. So if I literally walked in another person's shoes for a mile, I know what they're going through. I'm not going to be judgmental and critical and unkind. Be like, oh my God, that's intense. Here, let me bubble up the solution. Now I'm going to hold a safe and loving space for you to be in whatever you're going to be in. You can shift it or not, but at least you have a safe space to be in with someone modeling the solution to you.
And being grounded as well, because it's hard to be an empath grounded. And then this is something. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think that the more grounded we are, the higher a vibration we can hold. And I know that when I first started meditating, all I wanted to do was go up and bring in higher frequencies. It was all about the upper chakras. And my bank account started to dwindle. And I was like, oh my God, I have to get more information. So I kept going up. And then one day my guides were like, the more grounded you are, the higher vibration you can hold, and the more you have the capacity to manifest. And I was like, oh my God. So I started basically holding 50-50. However big my crown was as big as my root chakra. And so being with nature, exercising, eating well, taking baths, really connecting in with nature immediately grounds us, as well as firmly attaching that divine line to the front of the spine, and then inviting the body, this nature spirit that has its own unique energetic system, to ground itself in its own unique way. We are just a rider in the form. And when we really acknowledge that the body has its own unique mastery, and then we let it to start, we invite it to start using that mastery, then we move into a more grounded way of being.
Yeah. You're an acupuncturist, and I'm just curious, are you still practicing acupuncture?
Only in the state of Colorado.
Well, when you did, I guess the question I'm asking is, it doesn't, I mean, whenever you might have done it, do you use any, or anybody that you know of, like with acupuncture, or have you done this in the past when Colorado, used sound with the acupuncture?
Yes. And actually, I still pull from all of the information that I have as an acupuncturist, and I will sometimes just simply hold a point and make the tone that I'm hearing for that point. So every acupuncture point has a particular coherent sound. Now, if there's an imbalance in the body, in the meridian line, you'll actually hear the discordant sound, and that's really important to make that discordant sound and help it gently evolve into a more coherent tone. And so you can literally be holding points, you can be doing acupuncture needles, and making a sound silently or out loud. It all works.
So it works because is it true? Every organ or every bone, every cell in the body has its own frequency.
It does.
So that, and I don't know if a lot of, I've had acupuncture before, but that just sounds like it'd be just more beneficial too. I don't know if they teach that in school.
I'm sure they do have some courses in some acupuncture schools that talk about the power of sound and acupuncture points. It really, again, depends on the individual. Every client is going to respond to different modalities. Some people really respond well to sound. Some people respond really well to light, flower essences, acupuncture, massage, rolfing. I mean, there's so many modalities out there. And again, wherever we are in our spiritual growth and evolution, we will be drawn to work with different modalities for a period of time. We get the vibration we need, and then we move on to a different modality to help us in our journey. So nothing stays stagnant, but using sound with acupuncture points is incredibly powerful. And I actually think, as a sound healer, I think that we have the capacity to heal every single disease with sound. That's a pretty radical statement, but I personally have felt the effects of using sound and vibration to shift the health of the body from a distance, from thousands of miles away. Another practitioner is emitting very specific frequencies, sounds, codes, vibrations, and it positively impacts the physical human form.
In fact, that's interesting. I wanted to ask you about, because right now, you have an international, I'm sure you have a global clientele as a spiritual guidance and sound healer. How how does it work well doing something over? People used to ask me that because of the technology, and I reach out to everybody on the internet, but I'm not in front of them.
Right.
Do
Over the
it works
years,
well?
right? I've been working with people, for almost 21 years, and as I shift, grow, and evolve, the way in which I practice with clients, my practice with clients changes. And now I actually prefer to work over the phone or Skype with people, because when I'm in person, I don't have the distance, and so I don't get that huge bird's eye view. And also, when someone is in person with me, they are going to be more energetically guarded. They're not going to be as open as when they're in their own space, kind of feeling alone, even though we're on the phone or Skype. And so people will energetically reveal more when they have their own space and I have mine. So I actually find that we do deeper work. We go through more layers. More work happens when it's over the phone or Skype from a distance. Now that varies. There's some clients who just can't drop into that place over the phone. They just really don't like the phone or the computer. Or somebody is dealing with a physical issue, and I do work with physical issues on the phone and on Skype, but sometimes I do like to get my hands on people.
Do you work with your own self? I mean,
yes. Yeah, I am my practitioner for myself.
Well, I guess you are.
I schedule regular sessions with Aleya.
So, I really, like I said, sound healing, it's been around forever, but it's become very popular.
Yes.
Right now.
Fortunately, which is great.
It's great. I think it's fantastic. And in fact, that's why I felt it was a good time to do this topic in the show, and you, again, being the best guest for it. But for yourself, I'm just curious, because I know not everybody is going to be able to do, you're not going to sit there and heal yourself, because you're well-versed and an expert and professional in this for many, 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 many years. So you have actually been able to, can you give me an example, like for instance, just an example of what you've seen and experienced by your own personal healing on something that you can't deny it doesn't work?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of kind of the best example. There's so many, when you have so many and you're like, which one do I choose?
No big deal.
For me, my angle, I have a chiropractor, I have a rolfer, I have a practitioner who works on me from a distance. Not quite energy work, it's a little different than that. But my angle really is looking at consciousness and behavior and finding the root of where that's coming from. And I remember having this certain level of self-doubt and procrastination. And for 3 months in the higher realms, I was hunting for where is that really coming from. And it's interesting that I started to experience it when I moved into this one house. And, when we're close to something, it's sort of hard to see where it's really coming from. So 1.5 years into this behavior of procrastination and self-doubt, I finally got sick and tired of it. And I was like, okay, I'm going into session. And the session ended up being a 3-month session of me looking and scanning in the higher realms. And after 3 months of searching, I actually found that I had picked up the issue of the individual that used to live in that house, that built that house from, like the 1920s and lived there for 30 years or however many. And I was empathically feeling the vibration of this individual. And as soon as I invited my higher self to release that vibration, to send the information to whomever it was I was feeling, to the owner of the original home, the behavior completely and totally shifted literally within 5 minutes, and it never returned.
Wow.
So
that is perfect. Just for me, saying that's a really great example. We only have a couple minutes left. I wanted to ask you, where can we sign up for a free week? Where can our listeners sign up for a free, I think you said it earlier, but week of Daily Cup of Consciousness meditations?
People can go to cupsofconsciousness.com and they can get a free sample week. They can also go to aleyadao.com, ALEYADAO.com, and you can sign up for a free week there. And on the Cups of Consciousness site, I also have a sample for a Tall Cups, which is an hour-long energy balancing session, 45-minute energy balancing session. It's more intense than, the 10-minute meditations. So depending on what you feel called to do.
We also have everybody also on your guest page, which will be there forever. We also have your website on there, so people can click on there. And so, Aleya, what is your next project coming up?
Well, I was madly writing right before the radio interview, so my book deadline for the book called Cups of Consciousness is due October 1st. It'll be coming out next year, and Sounds True just released my Light Body Sound Healing album, and it's also available on Amazon. And every 3 weeks, I do a live energy balancing session. It's called the Tall Cups of Consciousness, and I have one this coming Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific time.
Great. In fact, on your guest page, we also have listed for people to click on what you had on Amazon, the audio CDs.
That's great.
Right, the ones that you have out. Well, I'm real excited, and I would really like to thank you so much for joining us. It was really lovely, and I know we have a chat room here as well, and people are just really, really. They were really taken by all this information and enjoyed it very much.
Well, it was fun to be on your show.
Yeah, so thank you so much, and for joining us, Aleya, and have a great weekend. And I hope to talk to you again. Okay, good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I enjoy it.
Hello, my name is Res Miranda. If you're having relationship, career, or life issues, I'm inviting you to experience what it's like to have access to professional, highly accurate psychics and spiritual advisors you can trust to care and help you. Register now to get your free 6-minute reading by telephone or chat. Get answers. Get access. Psychic access. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. PsychicAccess.com.
And I first started having dreams of whales and dolphins coming to me in dream time, literally doing sound healing on me. And then after about 1.5 to 2 years of dreaming about the whales and the dolphins, I had a dream and the whales said to me, Aleya, move. I was living in Telluride at the time. So I woke up in the morning and I went, move where? And I heard west. And so 3 weeks later, I got in my car and I drove west, and it basically took me 1.5 years to find my new home in Santa Barbara. And when I did get to Santa Barbara, I would have dreams of the dolphins coming to me in my dreams and saying, Aleya, meet us at Butterfly Beach at 8 in the morning with your kayak. So at 8 a.m., I'd be at Butterfly Beach and the dolphins would appear and we would begin telepathically communicating and showing me how to use my voice, sound, toning, to shift my own energy, to spin it around chakras, bounce it off vertebra, and affect a change for myself.
Aleya Dao is a sound healer, energetic practitioner, minister in the state of California, doctor of Oriental medicine in New Mexico, and a licensed acupuncture in Colorado. She has been an alternative healer for 20 years. Aleya graduated from Lewis and Clark University in Portland, Oregon, and earned her master's degree in Oriental medicine from the Southwest Acupuncture School in Santa Fe, New Mexico. She presently lives in Santa Barbara, California, where she serves an international clientele as a spiritual guide and sound healer. So for more information about Aleya, you can please visit her website at aleyadao.com, but that's on the guest page as well. So, hello, Aleya.
Hello.
Hi, there you are. How are you?
I'm great, and it's great to be here with you tonight.
I'm really happy, real excited about this show and what you can share with us. Well, as a matter of fact, could you tell us about your journey to beginning to a sound healer and energetic
that affect our life and how we can use the higher realms, our energetic self, to shift our reality. So that's kind of a little snippet of my journey.
Wow, I love it. I mean, so young too, and you kind of everything just. It's interesting. Everything just went as it should for you.
As it should. Not always easy, right? Lots of tears,
right.
Because when you're super sensitive, you feel everything and you don't know that it's not yours or whose it is and what's really being asked for. And so now at the age of 42, almost 43, I've got my feet pretty firmly on the ground. And
I know. Someday I will, and I'm even older than that. I still have a problem bouncing off that stuff. But,
and as soon as I say that one, I get upended, right? That's how it usually goes.
Well, could you? So what is sound healing? So our listeners can understand. What is sound healing?
Sound healing is literally just using your voice or sound or music to shift your vibration. It can be positive, it can be negative, it can be lower, it can be higher. Double majoring, 2 schools at the same time. And then my senior year, I started my own private practice as a massage therapist at the age of 21. And then after a year of having my own private practice, I realized that I wanted to go deeper. And so I went on and got my Oriental Medicine degree, Master's of Oriental Medicine at the Southwest Acupuncture School, and opened up my private practice after I graduated from there in Telluride, Colorado. And then in 2001, I had an enlightenment experience. And it was literally like all of these moments that I had been training for led to this huge shift in my consciousness, where literally in 35 seconds, my entire reality was different. It was like having x-ray glasses and being able to feel people's feelings and hear guides and perceive other realms. And again, there had been a lot of study leading up to that moment, but that shift in my consciousness took about 3 to 5 years to integrate. And now I have assimilated it and speak about these concepts.
Practitioner and spiritual guide.
Happily, my journey actually began at a fairly young age of being very empathic, very energetically sensitive. And I was really fascinated with the whole modality of healing, even as a child at the age of 6. And then in my adolescence, my mom exposed me to massage schools and alternative ways of thinking. And then when I went to boarding school, I was just kind of the natural counselor that people would gravitate towards and look for soothing and comfort, even though I didn't have any formal training. And then I ended up going to Lewis and Clark in Portland, Oregon, and kept driving by this massage school. And I thought, what am I going to do when I get out of college before I can get my teaching credentials? I don't want to wait tables. I can't remember anything. And so I thought, I'll go to massage school. I'll become a massage therapist. And so my junior year in college, I went on and got my massage degree while I was attending college as well. So basically